And what could be possibly scarier for a man than, an intelligent woman using all of her
You
capabilities?
ought
It's
to be
like,
in the pictures. You're wonderful to see. You ought to be in pictures. Oh, what a
Well, James, I
picture
was
you
really
would
keen to see this
be.
movie Companion. I hadn't heard, if I'm honest, nothing about it. And over Chinese New Year, our mutual friend Carolyn had seen a screening of it at Soho House and was telling me I had to go see it. And then suddenly it was coming up on my radar. So I took both my sons to see it. And I was a little nervous at first, taking my 14-year-old Ethan. I was checking the parental data on
mhm.
IMDb. And it seemed like we are just at the board, and I remember thinking, "Oh it looks like it's the violence is the issue." I thought my dad took me to see Alien when I was about this age, so I'm just following in my father's footsteps.
I think that's good parenting. Honestly, I do. I think those memories are the ones that endure. It's where you're doing something just over the boundary of legal, of acceptable, of whatever. I think if you paint between the lines the whole time, and particularly with like
That's it.
watching the stuff, it's it's not so memorable. It's quite forgettable. Whereas I certainly know that it's the films I watched too young, a little bit too young, that are
Right,
the ones
right.
that stick with me. But I think you're perfectly safe with this. I'm sure Ethan loved it. There's
It
nothing
was
in this that's
fine. Yeah.
too
Yeah, there was a
confrontational.
couple scenes where, but nothing. Yeah, no, I came out of it. Of course, my wife said, "You took him to what?" And I said, "Honey, it's okay. It's okay." But you're right because he saw it with dad and his older brother, and it was maybe not taking a full bite of the forbidden fruit, but just a little half bite. It produces that memorable experience. That in the same way, I'm 58 years old. I remember my dad sneaking us out when my mom was away. I've mentioned before on a weekend retreat, taking me and my brothers to see Alien, and
Yeah,
that's what I remember. I remember when Dad took us to see Alien. So
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
recreate some of
And the,
those.
and this is fine, and it's a good teachable lesson about how to be a responsible young white man in today's society. I think more than anything else. So hopefully he picked up on that.
There was definitely some themes in this film for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have been saying since I saw this, or since before I saw it, it's a movie that I think benefits from going in knowing as little about it as possible.
Yeah,
Um, I had heard already that the trailer sort of gives too much away. I've been back since I watched the film and watched the trailer, and I think the trailer's actually okay. I think it suggests a lot of things without overtly revealing a lot of things like some trailers do, but definitely the more plot beats in this movie that come as a genuine surprise to you, the better. And
yeah.
I knew nothing more than the poster
Hmm.
suggests when I went
Hmm.
in, and the poster is just of what's her name, Sophie Thatcher's uh, lead character Iris, and she is being given. Well, it's just her face but her eyes are kind of glazed over as if they
Yeah,
are, well, suggesting that she might not be entirely human.
yeah.
And as it is revealed, not immediately, but the first big reveal is that she is not human and that she is in fact sort of a an AI robot girlfriend,
Yeah.
and
I
that
forgot
is
who
really
it was.
the triggering incident.
I forgot who it was, either you or Gabriel. After I left the cinema and Gabriel and I split up and we went our separate ways because he went to work, I got a message that said, "What is Iris backward?" And I thought, oh, it's Siri.
Oh, I didn't pick up on
Did
that.
you get that? I
Mm-mm.
totally didn't get that. Okay, so it wasn't you that sent it. It must have been Gabriel that sent it to me.
No, no, I didn't twig that until this second. So
Yeah.
yeah, there, yeah, of course. That makes perfect sense. But yeah, no, I think this is a lot of fun. I mean, it's a sci-fi horror thriller, rom-com in parts, or at least it starts out that way, from a first-time filmmaker, Drew Hancock, and it's produced. I think the only sort of creative person I knew behind the scenes ahead of time was the producer. What's the guy's name? Not him. Zach Kreger, who directed the film Barbarian from last year,
Okay.
which is a great kind of horror comedy that again benefits from knowing as little as possible going in.
Right.
So I kind of was aware of what the tone might be, you know,
Mhm.
and it's a tone that I like. I love a bit
Yeah.
of sort of surprising, twisty, turny comedy horror. And I'd just seen Sophie Thatcher in Heretic opposite
Indeed.
Hugh
Yeah.
Grant. But I believe you're probably more familiar with Jack Quaid than I am, aren't
Yeah, I mean, Jack Quaid is just popping up everywhere, and I've watched all four seasons of The Boys.
you? Yeah.
Wasn't particularly thrilled with the last season, but I still love the series overall. And ironically, or incidentally, I was just rewatching Star Trek Strange New Worlds because I'm prepping for season three that's coming out. And Jack Quaid makes a guest appearance on one of the episodes. I'm thinking, Jack's just appearing everywhere. And what was good in this film was, and I like you'd suggested, I hadn't watched the trailer. I went in as blind as I could. So
Mm.
everything was a major reveal, although I didn't kind of know the premise. I knew there was going to be an AI girlfriend in here somewhere. But other than that, I didn't know who was who and what was what. But obviously, it's the toxic masculinity, this white guy who's owed so much and is angry at the world and just looks like some of the people I know on Twitter and X. I just thought Jack Quaid really is able to convey this creep. And he's able to take his nice boy persona. He's just this nice guy who you can trust him, and the girls will love him because he'll be your best friend. And he's able to take that same persona and just turn it in this movie to El Creepo. And I thought, oh man, I'm really enjoying this because I did like the message too of toxic masculinity kind of getting its one-upmanship, one-upped on. What's the getting
Getting
sorted,
one upped, I suppose.
getting one-upped. Yes.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I think that was the only thing I knew going in. I knew it was about an AI girlfriend,
Yeah.
but I had no idea. I mean, many years ago now, we covered the Hirokazu Koreeda movie Air Doll, which is
Yes.
about, a sort of synthetic girlfriend.
Hmm.
And for all I knew going in, it might have been something closer to that. I really didn't know what kind of movie. It was just because I
Hmm.
knew it was also from like the guy who did Barbarian. He was involved. I was
Yeah.
kind of like, okay, this is probably going to go wrong, in some
Yeah.
way. And boy, did it! And it was really fun. I like the way. I love the setup. That they
Yeah.
go to this secluded mansion in the mountains,
Yeah.
away from everywhere else. She's insecure that the others don't like her. She's aware of the fact that the other friends sort of look down on her or see her differently, and you're not entirely sure why. And then when you're introduced to the other couple, the gay couple, Eli and Patrick, there's a kind of slight like reveal when it's revealed that they are the couple rather than the two, the attractive
Right.
guy with the
Yeah.
attractive girl, and they tell this lovely story at the dinner table, and you're like, really? You two are together? And it didn't even twig with me at that moment that, oh, the
Yeah.
Patrick guy, he's an AI partner
Right.
as well. And so it has all these kind of nice little fake outs and these nice little sort of twists and reveals along the way. But true to form, when things go wrong, they go incredibly, horribly, bloodily, violently wrong.
Mhm.
And the fact that it's all sort of pre-planned as well. I just like that element to
Yeah.
it as well.
Yeah.
That this is some grander scheme to off Sergey, played by the
Yeah.
great Rupert Friend, who seems to be having a hell of a time. So just he seems to be quite happy to sort of play these ridiculous characters sometimes. Um, because he's British, Irish,
He's
Welsh. He's
Yeah,
British.
I think he's British. I thought it was interesting him playing the Russian oligarch, who it
Yeah,
turns
because
out
as soon as
is
he shows
actually
up,
he's not a mafia guy. He's just a businessman.
yeah, his business is something really inane, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was now.
But
Um,
again, that's a great point about how this film really subverts our tropes because we all have seen a gazillion movies with the Russian mobster who's just a creep who uses women, and then when they kind of flip that on its end, it's like, actually no, he wasn't a mafia guy. He was just kind of this businessman. And what? We killed him? Well, yeah, I had you thinking he was a mafia guy. Otherwise, you might not have gone along with it. It's like, oh
yeah, he
man!
just
And not only were you fooling the character in the movie, you were fooling the audience too.
yeah. No, that's always good when yeah we're being hoodwinked. So I mean, I kind of like for all its twists and turns and subversions and what have you. There is a sort of small scale simplicity to it all, which I did really kind of appreciate. This is proper sort of Friday night B movie fare. It's not trying to be anything too spectacular. Like you said, it does have a few messages in there as well, but it's a bit of sort of good, simple genre fun,
Yeah.
and that I do appreciate. And particularly at this time of year, you're not looking for anything too heavy. It's a nice distraction from all the awards stuff, and I enjoyed it.
I'm really appreciative that this early in the year, I have a movie that I could slot into my top 10 of 2025. It may not survive to December,
Uh-huh.
but this is a movie that I truly enjoyed. One of my critiques of last year in 2024 was there's too many films that I didn't really enjoy. Like I can appreciate them for their artistic or filmmaking ability, but if I ask myself, did I enjoy it? Like, did I come out of the cinema going, oh, that was a great 2 hours. I'm so happy I did that. Companion left me with that feeling. I come out, I'm like, that's what cinema's supposed to be. Like, I had all of my ideas subverted. I was played with a little bit. There was a payoff. Like I felt like good kind of conquered evil in the end, and so it hit all the right notes for me.
Yeah, me too. And I think the reason it works is that it's so close to where we are today.
Yeah,
With
yeah,
sort of everything is voice activated. The cars can pretty much do that. The self-driving, voice activation and all of that kind of stuff. And we're only a couple of years out from this kind of
yeah, yeah,
sort of AI partner. And it seems to be a trend that's kind of popping up again because you've got things like sort of Megan, the movie Megan,
yeah.
which kind of popped up about this time last year or the year before as well. It's definitely a theme that is on a lot of people's minds right now, and just sort of the invasive nature, or how we're realizing too late how widely and all-encompassing we've allowed technology into our lives, and the dangers that's going to, or how vulnerable it has made
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
And I love it because it's a theme that's not going away. And it's
No,
been
it's just going
around,
to be.
obviously, time immemorial. Since technology existed, we've been concerned about what it can do and how much we're
Well,
surrendering to it.
yeah, well, you've said it, whether it's the AI in the Matrix or Skynet in Terminator, but that was always in the future. It was out there. And as you said, everything in this film is like in 2 years' time. It's already here. We just haven't moved into it fully. And I love how Sophie Turner does such a wonderful job because we've already seen Terminator movies. We've already seen an AI robot who's just on a death mission that has no empathy or feelings. We've got the Arnold and the Robert Patrick versions. But to have Sophie Turner with these complex emotions that are coming out, and then it becomes, well, how could this have happened? Well, she was modded. I mean, that is instantly recognizable to a gazillion gamers out there. Well, of course, when you mod your character in a video game, it screws up the game often. Like it messes up everything else. I remember Gabriel coming home and showing me how to mod my Fallout character. The problem is, yeah, now you become indestructible or you can do things that you shouldn't normally be able to do. But because it's not always linked with all the other aspects of this complex world, something's going to be off somewhere. And so for me, it was interesting. Well, of course, yeah, she was modded. Of course, she's now struggling with reconciling her internal programming with the fact that, oh, I can kill people now. That's interesting.
I love when she realizes how low her intelligence settings have been put by him. She's like, God damn it, man. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
got to. He has put her at like 30-40%, something like that.
Yeah.
And then the inherent humor and threat when she's like,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
really it's like a double punchline almost, and it works really, really well. It's like, well, I'll show you.
Yeah, and when she moves the dial up to like 100%, you can
Yeah.
almost see the way she acts. Like suddenly awareness is coming on. Like, oh gosh, I'm seeing reality in a much clearer. There's much more strategy going on in my mind now.
And what could be possibly scarier for a man than, an intelligent woman using all of her capabilities? It's like, yeah, I thought
Oh,
it was just really, really fun. It was really smartly written and executed. It
yeah,
really knew where where the hot buttons were, if you like, and
Yeah,
when to
yeah,
press them. And yeah, I think it was surprisingly effectively done, actually, for something that, as I said, comes across as so simple,
yeah, yeah.
but it's actually
It,
like, yeah, all the little beats and all the little quirks and all the gags and all the little observations are just really well executed all the way along.
well, it got a little bit on the nose at the end with the whole toxic masculinity message, but I thought largely it was done well. And I don't know if you noticed, but I had just watched Blink twice as well. So I was seeing
Okay.
a little Blink twice in here, where basically you get some white men for a moment kind of going into soliloquies about what the world owes them, that they're not bad guys. I love the narratives they tell themselves in their head. I'm not a bad guy.
Mm.
I deserve so much more. It's I. There's so much narcissism. Everything is about me. Even when they're doing their love making, she is really just the air doll from the movie you mentioned earlier. I just have sex with you and then I roll over
Yeah.
and those little setups where now I almost want to go back and rewatch the movie because there were little clues to let you know where this guy really was, as opposed to what they were kind of trying to convey him being the sweet, nice guy that everyone kind of liked. He was the one you could trust. He's Jack Quaid. He's got his father's Dennis Quaid's grin. All he's got to do is give that little shit-eating grin, and we all trust him. Most
Yeah, no,
enjoyable.
I think I didn't mind him having his meltdown. I'm glad it wasn't I'm glad it was him saying it rather than her lecturing him about it, you
Yeah,
know, because I think that would have come off as pontificating, finger wagging, and would have been a bit kind of like, yeah, okay. It
yeah,
was be a bit like that bit at the end of Barbie when the
yeah,
movie grinds to a halt so that gosh, America Ferrera, is it?
yeah.
Can
Can do her
can
her.
give this speech, and it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
no, we get it. You've already kind of said all this stuff. The fact that it's Jack Quaid's character having a meltdown on his own and literally throwing
yeah,
his toys out of the pram and having a temper tantrum and going, no, I deserve more than this. I am
yeah,
owed this. It's like, have you been on Twitter? That's all Twitter
yeah.
is people going, where this is what I
Yeah.
deserve, when clearly they obviously don't deserve anything and they're a piece of detritus.
Don't mince words, James. Tell us how you really feel about these folk.
But so I like that, and I'm
Yeah,
good on Jack Quaid for subverting his own public persona, because not all actors are willing to do that.
yeah,
And it shows a real self-awareness. It shows a self-awareness that clearly his character in this movie doesn't have. That he's
yeah.
willing to subvert his nice guy image and take on parts like this in order to undermine necessarily the white privilege. It's really well done. It's like a great sort of Twilight Zone episode kind of thing. It's got a really smart hook that it knows how to utilize within the confines of its own setup, and it has something to say as well. So yeah, it worked really, really well for me.
I'm gonna one up you there. It's more than a Twilight Zone episode. It is a Black Mirror episode. It is.
Okay, but what is Black Mirror if not the
I'm just,
Twilight Zone for the
I'm
21st
just
century?
yanking your chain. I'm just yanking your chain. What's going to be our instrument of measurement for companion?
Ooh,
Well, what about the mod sticks? How many mod sticks?
sure. Why not? Why
Yeah,
not? Yeah, let's do that.
how many mod
I'll go
sticks out
first.
of five? Yeah, go ahead.
I think I've said everything I wanted to say about it. I think it does all of that stuff that I've just said, and it does it really, really, really well. Um, by the constraints of its conventions, if that makes sense. It's not a five-star masterpiece,
Hmm.
nor is it setting out to be that. But I think for what it's aiming for, it hits the bullseye quite comfortably. And so it gets a rock solid 4 mod sticks out of 5 from me. And I am looking forward to watching it again for all the reasons that you previously mentioned.
Yeah, I feel like I'm doing this rating a lot these days where you go at one and I go a half higher. And I'm not intending to half higher you, but in my mind, I have similar thoughts. I don't feel because of the convention you mentioned, I can give it a 5. But if one thing you've taught me, James, is really trying to not compare movies. Don't compare Companion to Lawrence of Arabia and Casablanca. Compare it to its other genre area of films. And in this one, totally succeeds. I feel a little uncomfortable though going all the way to five, but I'm going to give it 4.5 because I
Excellent.
think what it sets out to do, it does not only does it subvert the tropes we mentioned earlier. I mean, gathering young people together in a secluded area, like who's going to die, and they did it in such a creative way. I was going to mention when the tech guys show up. The tech guys were so fun to watch. And I meant to bring that up because they interact just like you would interact with them on a phone. Like they're so matter of fact. Well, of course, you've done this and this and this, and I don't know understand why this. And it's like they rebooted. And there was just so many aspects of it, like you said, that are so connected to where we're at this moment that yeah, I'm just going to leave it there, 4.5. And if you haven't seen Companion, get out and see it because it's truly a fun, enjoyable movie.
Awesome. Yeah. So, what did you think of Companion? Let us know if you haven't seen it yet. I would. Well, sorry, we've just ruined it for you, pretty much. Yes, you
We
shouldn't have
spoiler
watched
show.
this. We have spoiled everything for you. If for some reason you're watching the last minute of this video before the rest of it, don't don't watch the trailers. Just go in cold, and you will get the most out of it. And let us know in the comments. And any other sort of AI based movies that you think fit in with this or play on a similar premise, let us know. Or other films that skew toxic white masculinity. Why not? Let's build a series of these.
That's it. You can find James and I on Blue Sky as well as
You ought to
Instagram.
be in
Until next
pictures.
episode.
You're
Bye
wonderful
bye.
to see. You ought to be in pictures. Oh, what a hit you would be. You're